All right, get this. Today's deep dive, it takes us, right into some declassified CIA documents from the 1950s. We're talking like Cold War secrets here.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1983, right? And this document, it just surfaces detail of a project. It's code-named. Well, we can't really say, because it's still redacted. Let's just call it project redacted for now.
Yeah.
And the document, it explores like social and psychological forces at work in the U.S.
Right.
and how to identify individuals useful for intelligence purposes.
Interesting.
They even disguised it as a theological survey.
Really?
Yeah. So it sounds like we're about to step right into, Cold War spy games.
I think what's really interesting is how this document, it reveals the anxieties of that era.
Yeah.
The U.S. and the Soviet Union, they were locked in this intense rivalry.
Right.
And both sides were deeply interested in understanding and potentially, weaponizing human behavior.
So let's unpack this Project Reacted thing.
Okay.
The document, it outlines three main activities.
Right.
First up is Activity Redacted, and it focused on studying displaced persons in the U.S.
Okay.
So people like refugees and immigrants.
Okay.
They were looking for individuals that they could potentially use for intelligence purposes. The use of a theological survey as a cover, that's quite a tactic.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests a deliberate attempt to, mislead participants and exploit their situation. This raises some serious questions about the ethical boundaries they were willing to cross. It definitely seems like they were operating in a moral gray area.
Yeah.
And it gets even more complex because the document suggests they were trying to exploit these individuals' psychological vulnerabilities to, steer them towards goals that aligned with U.S. interests.
Yeah, it's important to remember that during the Cold War, the lines between science and manipulation and national security, they became incredibly blurred.
Right.
The fear of communism, it was so pervasive.
Yeah.
That it led to, some questionable actions.
Okay, moving on to Activity. Redacted, this one gets into the effect of chemical agents on human behavior and bodily functions. Everything from, mental states to physical responses.
Okay.
It even mentions animal testing.
Wow.
I think what's striking here is the document's emphasis on both offensive and defensive applications.
Oh, of these agents.
Okay.
They were, interested in understanding how these substances could be used to harm, but also how to protect against them.
It makes you wonder what specific agents they were, experimenting with and what they hope to achieve. Unfortunately, the document, it doesn't go into those details, but it's clear they were delving into some pretty sensitive territory.
Absolutely. This type of research, it was highly classified. And even today, much of it remains shrouded in secrecy. The document, it offers us a limited glimpse into a world of, covert operations and scientific exploration, but it leaves many questions unanswered.
And then there's the grand finale, Activity Redacted.
Right.
This is where things get really interesting. It explores a whole range of methods for influencing human behavior, not just chemical agents. We're talking, like standard psychological techniques, cultural pressures, but also some more controversial methods.
The document mentions brain damage, sensory stimulation, and hypnosis as potential tools for influencing behavior.
Yeah.
This is where we see a clear connection to the CIA's MKUltra program.
MKUltra.
Which was notorious, for its exploration of mind control techniques, using LSD and other methods.
Yeah, MKUltra, it's like something out of a, spy thriller. This document even throws around terms like so-called black psychiatry, Pavlovian conditioning, and brainwashing. And just reading those words is enough to make you wonder how far they were willing to go in their pursuit of, control.
It's fascinating to see how these concepts, which are, now widely debated and often viewed with suspicion, were being openly explored by intelligence agencies during the Cold War.
Right. It really highlights the ethical dilemmas they were grappling with at the time.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the potential consequences of such research,
Right.
both intended and unintended.
It's crucial to consider the historical context,
Right.
but that doesn't excuse any potential overreach.
The document also mentions an interest in counteracting these methods.
Okay.
So it seems like they were aware of the, potential dangers and wanted to develop defenses as well.
That's an important point. They weren't just interested in controlling behavior, but also in understanding how to resist, such manipulation. This suggests a certain level of awareness of the ethical implications of this type of research.
So we've got this secret project masked as, a religious study, potential exploitation of vulnerable people, and research into some seriously concerning mind-altering techniques, and it's all wrapped up in, secrecy and reactions. It's a lot to take in.
Indeed, it's a glimpse into a, complex and often unsettling chapter of history.
Yeah.
And while this document, it provides some valuable insights,
Right.
it also raises many more questions that are worth exploring.
It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of this document. I'm still trying to make my head around, this idea of the CIA exploring all these techniques to potentially control people's minds.
Yeah, remember the Cold War was a time of, intense paranoia. The threat of communism felt very real.
Right.
And there was a genuine fear that the Soviet Union might be ahead in, this kind of research.
So in a way, they felt like they had to fight fire with fire.
Exactly. It was an arms race, but instead of just focusing on weapons technology, it extended into the realm of, psychology and human behavior.
Yeah.
Project Redacted fits into that larger context of, trying to understand and exploit the human mind for strategic advantage.
It makes you wonder what other projects like this might have, existed.
It's certainly possible, although much of that information, it remains classified. Remember MKUltra?
Right.
There were likely other initiatives exploring similar themes, each with its own, unique focus and methods.
You mentioned MKUltra earlier, and this document, it seems to have some parallels with that program, especially in Activity Redacted, where they talk about, brain damage, sensory stimulation, and hypnosis.
Yeah, the mention of those techniques is incredibly significant. MKUltra was, heavily criticized for its unethical experimentation on human subjects, often without knowledge or consent.
Right.
The parallels with Project Redacted suggest that similar ethical concerns might be, at play here.
It's disturbing to think that they might have been using similar methods on, unwitting participants. Do you think there's any way to find out more about what actually happened?
It's difficult to say. The heavy redactions in the document, it makes it challenging to connect specific, individuals or institutions to the project. However, the fact that the document, exists at all, it's a testament to the power of transparency and the importance of, declassifying these historical records.
And let's not forget about all those redacted sections. What do you make of all the, blacked out lines in this document?
The redactions are, of course, meant to protect sensitive information, potentially the names of, individuals involved, or specific details of the research. However, they also, spark curiosity.
Yeah.
What's hidden beneath those black outlines? What stories are they, concealed?
It's like a giant puzzle with missing pieces.
Right.
I can't help but wonder what those pieces might, reveal.
Well, we can't know, for sure what's been redacted. We can analyze the implications of those, redactions. The fact that certain sections are so heavily, censored suggests they contain information that could be potentially embarrassing or even, incriminating.
So even in its, redacted form, this document tells us something about the lengths they were willing to go to keep this project, secret.
Exactly. It speaks to the level of secrecy surrounding these types of activities and the challenges of, uncovering the full truth about what transpired during the Cold War.
It's a reminder that even with, declassified documents, we're often only getting a partial glimpse into the world of, intelligence operations.
Right.
There's always more to, uncover, more to understand.
The pursuit of knowledge is an ongoing process, and documents like this are like crucial pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
They provide a window into the past, allowing us to examine the choices made and the consequences that followed.
But they also remind us that history is often like messy
That's
and complicated. There are rarely easy answers, especially when it comes to issues like national security and the ethics of scientific research.
It's about understanding the nuances, the competing priorities, and the difficult decisions that were made in a different time.
And maybe learning from those decisions so that we can make more informed choices today.
Precisely. History offers us valuable lessons, both positive and negative.
Right.
It's up to us to learn from those lessons and apply them to the challenges we face in the present.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the historical context and the ethical implications, but I want to go back to the document itself for a moment.
Okay.
There's a line that really stood out to me in Activity Redacted, where they mention so-called black psychiatry. What exactly did that refer to?
Black psychiatry is it's a term that's rarely used today, and its meaning is somewhat ambiguous. It generally refers to the use of psychiatric technique for malicious purposes, often involving manipulation, coercion, or control.
So it's not traditional psychiatry aimed at helping people.
Not in this context.
Okay.
The document suggests they were interested in exploring how psychiatric knowledge and techniques could be used to influence or even control individuals.
That's pretty unsettling, and it connects back to our earlier discussion about MKUltra and the potential for abuse.
Yes, black psychiatry is mentioned in this document. It falls under that umbrella of mind control research that was being explored during the Cold War. It represents a darker side of psychology, where knowledge about the human mind is used not for healing, but for manipulation.
And it makes you wonder about the long-term impact of, this kind of research. Even if they were, primarily focused on counteracting these techniques, wouldn't that require them to, understand them deeply?
Yeah.
And couldn't that knowledge itself be, dangerous?
It's a valid concern. The line between understanding a technique and, being able to use it can be quite thin. Even research aimed at, defense could potentially lead to the development of new and more sophisticated, methods of control.
It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
The pursuit of knowledge, even for seemingly, noble purposes, can sometimes lead to unintended and potentially harmful consequences.
It highlights the complexity of scientific progress and the importance of, ethical considerations. In research, the pursuit of knowledge, it should never come at the expense of, individual rights and freedoms.
And it reminds us that we need to be, vigilant, constantly questioning and scrutinizing the ways in which knowledge and power are, used.
Absolutely. Transparency, accountability, and a healthy dose of, skepticism are essential safeguards against the potential abuse of power, especially when it comes to, sensitive areas like psychology and human behavior.
So after diving deep into this, declassified document, I keep coming back to the same question. What does Project Reacted really, tell us?
I think it offers a powerful reminder that history is, full of these gray areas, especially when it comes to, matters of national security. It challenges us to confront the complexities of the past and to, examine the choices made in the name of protecting a nation.
It definitely makes you think about the trade-offs between, security and individual freedom and how those lines can become blurred, especially during times of, heightened fear and tension.
Absolutely. Project Redacted, it wasn't just about, gathering intelligence or developing defensive techniques. It was about exploring the very nature of human behavior, understanding how it could be, influenced, and potentially using that knowledge for strategic advantage.
And that raises some, serious ethical questions, even if they were primarily, motivated by national security concerns. The methods they were exploring seem to cross some pretty significant lines.
The document itself, it doesn't, provide definitive answers about what actually, happened or how far they went with their research. But it gives us enough information to, raise those questions, spark a conversation about the potential for abuse and the need for accountability.
It's like shining a light on a hidden corner of history, revealing a side of the Cold War that most people probably, don't even realize existed.
And that's the power of, declassified documents like this. They allow us to, revisit the past, to question the narratives we've been told, and to gain a more nuanced understanding of the forces that have, shaped our world.
And they also leave us with a lot of, unanswered questions, don't they? All those redacted sections, they just fuel the imagination.
The redactions are, of course, necessary to protect certain sensitive information, but they also serve as a reminder that the full story is often, more complex than what we see on the surface.
It makes you wonder what else is still, hidden, what other secrets might be buried in, classified archives waiting to be uncovered.
And that sense of mystery, of uncovering hidden truths is, part of what makes history so fascinating.
I have to admit, I'm still a bit, disturbed by the implications of this project. The idea that the CIA was, actively exploring these techniques to potentially control people's minds. It's pretty unsettling.
It certainly challenges our assumptions about the role of government and the limits of, scientific exploration, and it forces us to grapple with some, uncomfortable truths about human nature and the potential for abuse of power.
So what can we learn from, all of this?
I think it's a reminder that we can never be, complacent when it comes to protecting individual freedoms. We need to be constantly, vigilant, questioning authority, demanding transparency, and holding those in, power accountable for their actions.
And it's not just about, the past. The issues raised by Project Reacted, they're still, relevant today. We live in a world where technology, it's rapidly advancing, and the potential for, manipulation and control is perhaps even greater than it was during the Cold War.
It's crucial to, be aware of the history, to understand the patterns, and to recognize that the quest for, control and the exploitation of human behavior are not just, relics of the past. They are ongoing challenges that we need to confront with, awareness and a commitment to ethical principles.
This deep dive, it's been a real, eye-opener for me. I went into this thinking we'd be talking about spy games and, Cold War intrigue, but it's turned into something much, deeper.
It's about the interplay of power, knowledge, and the human mind. And it's a reminder that the pursuit of security can sometimes lead to, choices that compromise the very freedoms we're trying to protect.
Well, I think we've given our listener, plenty to think about. And as always, we encourage you to go, deeper, to explore the sources for yourself and to draw your own conclusions. We've provided a link to the declassified document on the CIA's, FOIA website, so you can see it with your own eyes.
Remember, history is an ongoing conversation, and every document, every revelation adds another layer to our understanding. It's up to each of us to, engage with the past, to learn from it, and to apply those lessons to the present.
So until next time, keep, questioning, keep exploring, keep those thinking caps on.